Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
Welcome to Tuesday night. It's Golden Guys. We are just like the Golden Girls without all the sex appeal, and very happy to have everybody here today. A couple of our guys taking the night off because we have a big show next week. Just to let you know, next week we have a special guest from Heritage Auctions coming on. We're going to be discussing their current feature auction, which is pulp related. So we'll see the old opening or the pulp opening. He's a great guy. A lot of us have dealt with him. I think all three of us, and I think all five of us, six of us have dealt with him. Before he got to Heritage, he's the lead consigner. It is going to be a great show. It is a great overall experience to have him on. But we're looking forward to it here. But in the meantime, this week we got DS over here. How we doing, DS? I think you're on mute, buddy.
So there?
Oh, I'm muted.
Right.
Okay.
Try it
Yeah,
again.
I've been picking up some books. I'm really enjoying the market, how it's still like on fire out there. And just looking forward to talking about that with regard to some Golden Age stuff tonight too. So yeah, should be good.
Excellent. And with us tonight is King Louis himself. King Louis, how are we doing down there?
Doing good. I haven't.
Literally, he's in the basement.
I am in the basement. I'm in my cage down here. It's kind of where my wife keeps me most of the time. But yeah, no, all good. Haven't been on in a while, so I thought I'd show up. But all good. Yep. Hope everyone out there is doing well the same.
All right. Very good. So the market's been pretty strong lately. We'll go over some pickups in a little bit. I looked at a couple of the recent auction endings, and we got new records on the big boy books again, new records on Batman 1 and an 8.0, new records set pretty much across the board on the big keys. But I think more are coming. I think there is always one out there. I've been tasked with finding an Action 1 in a 1.0.
Those are everywhere.
It's out there. I don't. Yeah. I got to find one for someone. Yeah. Okay. Right there. But the Archie comics broke six figures. Archie Comics 1. Yep. That was one of the things there. So let me just shout out everybody here. Jambo, how we doing? Ricky Martinstedt, good having you here. Sean, great having you. John Husson, hello, folks. Very good to have you here. Airboy, greeting, Golden Guys. Long time no see. I apologize about that, but we have some shows back and forth, and we had been busy here during the springtime here for myself and a few of the other guys. One of our guys is moving. I'm planning on moving soon. Louis just moved pretty much. You're not even a year there yet, are you?
Something like that. A little over, yeah.
And then Mr. Gretzky, Mr. Gretzky is the one who brought up the Archie. That was not even the most shocking. Honestly, the price of the 8.0 Batman kind of did shock me in a way. Yeah, because there's a few in between that 9.4, 9.2, and 8.0, and there's not a lot of room between them. So I wonder if the next, let's say maybe an 8.5. I know there's a few of those. I mean, if that's what an 8.0 is getting, and that's what a 9.4 was getting, I mean, this will move it even farther. I mean, we've seen $3.25 million, I think, last time we were here on an Action 1. So we never know. I mean, this is one of those times when records are going to be set. So,
what was the Archie 1?
So what do you guys think of the market right now?
I mean,
I was gonna say that Batman 1 was an 8.0, right? So there's only 6 copies higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that going for $1 million in the current market, nothing surprises me. But when you step back, like the Golden Age market is not the same as the silver, bronze, copper. That market is moving a little differently, but they're all hot. But the Golden Age stuff, the DC, when you get to gold, and silver, bronze, copper, it's all about the Marvel keys. When you get in the Golden Age, it's the DC keys, and they've been really strong for a while. Like those are the DC keys, and then I've been noticing the DC classic covers, like the More Fun Spectres, the Doctor Fates, stuff like that. Even some of like the Flash covers.
Sandman.
Nobody pays attention to like the Flash comics after like the single digits, but I watch them just for fun. The coloring is really cool on those. But the more classic sort of covers with some of these characters are even going pretty good. And yeah, so I think the DC Golden Age stuff is really, really solid, stable market. I mean, the prices are high, but they're not like, they haven't just gone parabolic like the Marvel Silver Age. They're just gaining steadily over time, and there's like no slowing them down. And then you're hitting the big ones like the Batman going over $1 million. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that market's pretty hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
from my
the Marvel Mystery.
yeah, say from my perspective, it just seems like every time you turn around and you say, well, maybe it's reached the top for a while, you get the froth on the top of the coffee, it just keeps on going. And I kind of wonder a little bit on the Golden Age. I mean, maybe it's just a guess, but like I wonder, there's so many people in that Silver Age and they're playing around, and then they kind of start to, hey, maybe go over the Golden Age a little bit or not. But the only thing I could figure, there's just a lot more people in a lot of activity out there, because I always judge it, a little bit by like the liquidity and how active a book is. So if you watch auctions recently and the number of bids and eyeballs that books are getting, it's 2 to 3 times as to what they used to be. Right. So that just tells me just purely the numbers of people out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Yeah, one of the things that was brought up.
Yeah, there's a lot of investors coming in. I think.
I was just going to bring up.
I think we got a little bit of a lag.
Keep going. Yes, exactly my point.
Yeah, lag. Yeah.
No, I try something here.
Yeah, there's a lot of investors coming in. I think comics in general, it's not just collectors anymore. It's not just people who love comics. It's people with money who want to invest and are looking at comics as a legit asset class, an investment vehicle to park money in something that will appreciate over time. I think it's and that's you get legitimate big time investors going after books like the Batman one and some of the Golden Age keys, and then like the big Silver Age keys and the X-Men one. I mean, it's not, you're not accounting for this with stimulus funds or like comic fans who are trying to complete runs. That's not what's going on here. So there's clearly something else, and I think it's an influx of investor money from other areas, people who are just have money they want to invest. Really.
Yep.
I don't know if there's still a delay, but one of the things that happened was there were books like the Marvel Mystery 4 getting with brittle pages, getting a very strong price. There was which brought up by C. Holmes. That was a great point. I did see that, and I wanted to bring that up here. Ahoy, Captain Comics! Good having you here.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to me is like very simplistic. Like if you take take Pokemon cards, take baseball cards, sport cards, sporting baseball, football cards, and all that. Look at the prices have they gone, but look at the sheer numbers that most of those cards or those Pokemon cards have. And then you go to comics, you look at the Golden Age. There's so much fewer. Like each book, might only have 20, 30, 40 different books. So I guess what I'm getting at is maybe people eventually trying to figure out that not only is it a cool niche, it's a lot of investing capabilities and possibilities, but there's just only a finite supply, right? This isn't like, hey, we produced a 1970s baseball card where, hey, it's a hot card, but there's still thousands of them.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of, it's not only this, but I know for a fact that there's a lot of sports card investors with money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That see comics starting to take off and are coming into comics and are blown away by how rare our comics are compared to card numbers. And I gotta think the same thing applies for Pokemon cards and video games. Comics. You got to sort of step back and look at it outside of the comic bubble. And when there's 3,000 of something on the census, we're like, oh, that's not that rare. But if you're coming from some of these other areas in collectibles, and there's only 3,000 graded copies of something, yeah, maybe that is rare in terms of all of collectibles. That is pretty rare, and you don't need much more demand to make the prices go up because that supply is limited. And yeah, like you're saying, Louis, these books, whatever there is what there is. They're not making them anymore. They're old. A lot of them didn't survive. And especially when you get back to early silver, like pre-1964, where the print runs were lower, and then back into the golden age, it's legit rare stuff. And it doesn't take much demand to jack those prices up. And I think that's what's going on, clearly.
Yeah, I agree. It just takes a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few more people trying to chase the same, whatever, pick a number, the same 40 books that exist.
I've been saying sports cards collectors have been coming into comics for quite a few months now, maybe 7 months or something. I don't know. And I'm just now starting to see other people saying it. But for the longest time, I was just banging my head against the wall because people kept saying stimulus, stimulus, stimulus. And I'm like, a $600 check or a $1,400 check is not causing a giant size X-Men to double in price, over the course of a week, or X-Men 1 and 4.0 to go for 20 grand or something. That's not, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it was some weird book today that went really high. I heard about. But I wanted to say, well, speaking of pickups and people buying stuff, I think you guys picked up a good bunch of stuff. I actually have something. It's coming. It's a rarity. It's really rare. I don't have a picture of it yet because I don't want to get on my phone and cause any more internet issues. But the issue, the book there is now 5 on the census, and this is the highest grade. Really hard to find book, and I've been searching for it for a long time, and it literally showed up on my want list for the first time, and like on my eBay, I get the same things all the time, right? And then I see this one, I'm like, that can't be real. And I went in there, I looked at it, slabbed, and it's a generation 1 slab in a high grade, and I'm like, God, this book's got to be. And I can't think of it, and it doesn't have a pedigree or no mention of the church on it because it's not that high of a grade. This is something I think might have fallen through the cracks. So anyway, let's DS, why don't you show let me get out of here so I can
Did you pick up a Spawn 1? Is that what you're talking about?
rare Spawn 1, I believe that.
I love Spawn 1, but there's just too many of them for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great read. I mean, honestly, I'll tell everybody that one of the best
I'm sure I have
runs ever is Spawns 1 through, I mean, I read up to the 200s. Actually, I did read most of them. I guess I might have missed a few, like the 220s to 240s. I missed a bunch, but other than that, I got a lot of them. So, all right, let's go with DS. Show me what you got.
Yeah. So before I show off what I got, there seems to be two groups of people talking about the current market, and one of them is crying the blues and it's ridiculous. Everybody's getting priced out. Certain books are out of reach, and they're just like, they're not liking the market. I get it. Those are like collectors. They like to buy stuff for their collection. They like it. They want to hold it. They want to complete runs. They want to pick up their want lists. I'm the other way. I'm just sort of an investor, an opportunist. And the market the way it is now, I'm freaking loving it because there's so many opportunities. The liquidity is up across the board. There's so many more books on the market. And if you like making moves, this market's great. So I'm loving it. So I've been picking up a lot of stuff. Now I've sold some big stuff too. So I try not to get my balance sheet one way or the other too far. So I'll sell a bunch of stuff and buy a bunch of stuff, sort of even it out. But let me show, and I don't know which ones I've showed and which ones I haven't. So I got 5 books. I'll just show them off. So this
you're like McDonald's. You're loving it.
Yeah, I am loving it, dude. This market's awesome. So this is arguably the biggest one. I think I might have already showed it. 7.0 white pages. Yeah, I wish I would have got some of these other silver keys before they got to the prices they're at now, because they're not unobtainable, but they're tough. This one is still relatively affordable in that genre, so I grabbed a 7.0 white pager. Lot of room to grow on this. This is a really good investment, so I got that. And then
It's one of my favorite books, period.
Well, you'll like the next one too, then, JD, because I found another white pager, and I figure, what the hell? Let me grab that one too. So,
and that's a real hard book to find in white pages. So,
yeah, and this is a pre-64, so the print runs are lower. So, like, census numbers on these books are 1,500, 1,800, something like that. It's like half of when you get to like the Daredevil sort of era. This has a piece missing on the back and a little bit of a stain on the top of the back cover, so that keeps the grade down. But the front of this book, I mean, presentability for a 2.5 off the charts on this one, man.
it is great book.
Beautiful looking 2.5
one.
white pages. So yeah, I had to pick that up.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Do you suspect that Paste Pot Pete's just driving the price of that book up?
Well, I'm waiting for that Paste Pot Wizard team up movie or Netflix series.
I will tell you right now,
I gotta
if
make.
MCU wants to challenge himself, put a Paste Pot Pete as the main villain in the next Avengers film.
All right, so the other silver key that's still, I'm saying affordable. That's a relative term, but I think this is an affordable silver key, and pre-64 as well. I picked up an Avengers 1 and a 4.0.
Nice.
Pretty decent copy. A lot of these seem to have minor spine rolls. This one has a little bit of a spine roll.
I have my 4.5 and my 4.5 white pager has a similar spine roll to it, but everything else of it, it's a great book. Honestly, of all the team up books, that it's probably the most affordable of the team up books that are first appearances.
Yeah, it is.
There's no real first appearance in it, but like Fantastic Four obviously is the first appearance of 5.
Yeah, and I wanted Jim 83, but in the absence of having one of those, this is really like my second favorite Thor cover, sort of like of a.
Yeah, it's up there with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Thor on this cover. It's a really cool cover. I like these characters, the old style, like an old timey style. These characters, obviously. So yeah, I think this book has a lot of room too. So those are 3 nice investments, I think, so far.
Yeah.
But nobody cares about Silver Age. We're here for Golden Age. So I got 2 Golden Age books. So these are the most exciting to me because they're Golden Age, even though they're worth far less than those. Not far less. They're worth less. Been after one of these for years. I don't know if I showed this off or not, but Blue Bolt 111, LB Cole.
Skulls aplenty.
It's just a classic, nicely centered, nice page quality, good grade. Just a really, really nice copy of this book. So a closer look at that. It's just awesome. So yeah, it's been a few years I've been looking for one of these. It's not like super hard to find. These Blue Bolts are around. It's just a matter of getting the right copy at the right time.
I often think that's one of the best Coles that when we talk about Blue Bolt, obviously we got our favorite numbers. 101,
Yeah, 105.
105 is my favorite, and I like I think it's 108 is the other one I'm a big fan of. But when you have that book, I mean, the colors just pop so much better than you think.
Yeah, I think 105 is my favorite Blue Bolt, and then 111, which I just showed, and then probably like 114, the underwater green cover.
Underwater's good. Yeah.
Zombie. So this last book is by far my favorite out of this bunch. It blows the others out of the water. This is an absolute fantastic book. This is a hardcore PC book, where the other ones are sellable at any time, I guess. And this is really tough. Zip 22, 1842.
MLJ at its finest, right there. One of the best. I mean, you've got so much going on in there.
Yeah, I mean, Steel Sterling diving through a V for victory, choking a Nazi Grim Reaper. He's got the Sith there.
Flaming New York.
New York City in flames, and this is the newsstands prior to Pearl Harbor because this is January of 42.
Which means it'd be October, November of 41.
Right, yeah. So prior to Pearl Harbor, and I would say for Zip Comics, probably the consensus top two. I could be wrong, but I mean, I think probably this one and 32.
32 is
the two most coveted. Zip 1 obviously is a big one because it's sort of a key, but
I have a copy of the Zip.
And Zip 3 is a cool robot cover, but this one is just off the charts cool. And it's 2.0. It's got the covers reattached with tape. But, you know, it's not faded. The colors are orange on this. So this is a good colored copy. This is a nice, nice presenting copy. The colors are accurate and good and not faded. So yeah, pretty nice copy for a 2.0, and such a hard book to find. I think there's maybe 11 on the census, or 12, or 10, or something.
I kind of always like the Zip 18, the one with the lizard blowing flames that's got a sword.
Yeah, that one's cool. There's a lot of cool Zips. Zip's one of the better A titles, I think.
It is.
So yeah, those are my pickups. So you can see I've been picking up some sort of bigger books, but I sold some bigger books too. I sold my Fantastic Four #1. So that money's gone back into this. I sold my Weird Mysteries 5, which was a 5.0. I got a good price on that. That money went back into this, and then some other smaller stuff. So I try to keep the balance sheet balanced so I don't have too much coming in or going out at the same time. I just try to make progress. So yeah, I've picked up some decent stuff. So that's it. Those are some cool pickups. I'm really excited about the last week or so pickups.
Well, real congratulations. C. Holmes says, love my 32 permanent cold collection book from me. Yeah, we all have those things. And MLJ. Speaking of MLJs, Lewis.
Hey.
I got my hands on an MLJ this week when we went out to lunch last week, and I gave you my opinion on it. I think it's a absolute good value. Show your book.
Yeah, I think over the last few weeks, you know, try to stay active. I suppose I wish I was probably following DS's logic on the balancing of the old ledger there, unfortunately, but
it's Lewis. He never sells.
Right. That probably, yeah. So one of the items, I don't know if this might be too shiny or whatever, is a Hangman 6. Is that way too shiny? Does that work at all?
That works perfectly like that.
Yeah, that's good. We can see it.
Yeah. Yep. So it's you know, like I said, it was an eBay purchase. I kind of came up, tried to snag it, get a bit. You don't see too many of them. Again, it could be more common than I think, but I don't think there's a ton of them. At least it doesn't seem like they comes up too often. So I was definitely glad to snag it. You know,
Again,
yeah, I saw that on eBay actually, and I was thinking about it, and then it didn't last long. It went quick, so I'm really glad to see that you got it.
Yeah, the MLJ books. For those of you that we never did a real show, we talked about MLJ a few times. You know, everybody knows it's a precursor to Harvey and everything else like that. But the MLJ, the big thing with MLJ is the pre-war or during the war stuff is absolutely some of the best cover art you can get inside, and obviously some keys in there. If you're an Archie fan, the Gretzky, you know. But the MLJ publisher itself is up there with Fox, in my opinion, as far as they don't come up enough. How about that? You know?
Yeah, I was talking to Lewis about this earlier. I think the cool rare ratio, which I just put in the chat. If you compare the level of coolness, the cool factor, with the level of rarity, I think MLJ, Fox, and Chesler's have the highest of that ratio, where they're super cool and pretty rare together. And yeah, I don't see that Hangman too much, man. That was a really good pickup.
Yeah, let's see, I've got a few others. Let's see. I mean, you know, all individually, I mean, none of them are huge books, but they kind of fit the stuff that I like to collect. One was, you know, wasn't really all that pricey, but again, it's a box.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. It's actually, again, it's one of those that, yeah, it's a 1.5, but again, predominantly because the cover is split, but but everything else, as far as the colors, the presentation, it's, you know, it's all there. So let's, you know, Then I apologize if there's a little bit of glare. I'm going to try to do my best to limit this. Here's one here where again,
Nice.
I just kind of like it's a graveyard scene.
There it is. With the blonde, with the green hand coming at it.
Yep. So
Yeah.
again, don't see this one too often either. It's just one that, you ever go through like a Gerber books and kind of make references. You're like, I like this one if I ever
Every
see
time I see it, I want that punch with the vulture on it.
Well, and that's a 1.0, but the colors on that are great.
Yeah, it's strange on this particular book. It's really nice. The colors are good. It has a centerfold and a cover detached. I mean, it has, I don't know if I can get close enough with the glare, but like along the edging, there's some chipping. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely think it would get better. It's white to off-white pages. I personally thought it looked better than a 1, but okay.
Yeah.
I have some books behind me. I don't remember. I can't remember if I showed this one before.
No, we talked about it, but I don't think we ever got a chance to see it.
Oh, I think you stole that one from me too.
The 3.0.
I don't know. That one was recently on what, Comic Link or Heritage?
This was a Heritage. I think it was about a month ago or so.
Yeah, it was a month ago.
So yeah, it was. Again, I'm certainly glad to have that one, and then probably one that might be probably the oddest pickup. So, there's a gentleman that's kind of in the community that sort of helped me, find the book with somebody he knew. So, did I overpay? Maybe, who knows? It's just one that I always was after. It's not the highest of grades by any means, but again, good luck finding one was kind of that deal. So,
That's right, the green mask. Bring it over the other way. Here it is. Yeah, you don't see green mask books at all.
yeah. So this is one that I've kind of looked for a number of years, and I've never seen one come up for sale anywhere. I've never seen one at a show. So, not to say it didn't. I just didn't catch it. So
yeah, that's probably the best green mask cover. And weren't you and me talking about a couple months ago how you were like, if you ever see this, let me know or something?
Yeah, I might have. Yeah. Yep. Yes. There's just a few things out there that are just very impossible to find.
One of these days, one of us is going to get a Fantastic 3. We promise. I've been following a few things going out there here and there, and getting ready to. But I'm waiting on my book that's rare coming over from overseas, far overseas, literally Australia. And this guy has had this book for a while, and he said, I just figured he brought it up, says that I think this book is worth about 15 times what I paid for it 15 years ago. So I said, at least, but glad we came to an arrangement. A little bit of notes before we get into a further discussion here is just a reminder, next week we're going to have Rick Akers, who's in the chat right now, will be on our show next week. We'll be discussing pulps in general and golden age books as well. It should be a real fun time, and I think it'll be pretty exciting show. I've got pulp. We've got some of the pulps from the previous time that we had going in there, and I'm not going to show it here, but there's several copies of this in there, but not this one. Just going to show it here. We've got 3, and this is one here. I just want to share it again for our Margaret Brundage fans. I actually met some amazing pulp people this past week. A lot of discussion on the phone. I have a guy coming in. I'm having a meeting with tomorrow with 1,000 pulps, and he wants to complete his run. And we might be able to help him complete quite a bit of his run, so we're excited.
Yeah, and the chat saying the same thing about the feedback. So I don't know where it's coming from.
High pitched feedback. I don't. Is it? I don't think it's mine. Let me just check here. Lewis, we still have it. Let's mute Lewis and mute DS. Let me know if the mic is ringing bad on my side. Chat when you get a second here. Notice it first with Lewis. Lewis, is your phone close to your microphone in any way, or?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I don't hear it. So
it wasn't there at first, but it's there now.
Yeah, I still can't hear it, but I know it's on mine because mic is ringing bad. So maybe we gotta, Lewis, if you have a different mic set up, let me know for a minute here. One of the things we could talk about the golden age market here is the recent auctions and stuff that's coming up. We're definitely getting into that a lot more next week. But what book outside of, let's say, the Fantastic Three have you not, like, what is like I don't care if you want it or not. Like for me, that Punch with the vulture and the Indian on it doesn't come up as much as I used to see it when I really didn't care. Well, I cared for it, but I really didn't want to drop the money on it, or I was hunting something else down or doing something else right now. But that Punch to me, I was going over it. I forget what number it is. You know which one I'm talking about. So that Punch comic. Let me see if I can show a cover of it. It's
Yeah, it might be you, JD. It might be you, JD.
All right. Is it still going
I'm
on?
not sure.
Do we still have it? Let me know if anybody in the chat can still hear it. We never had this problem. This mic's pretty good. All right, so let me try something here.
Yeah, it is you, JD. Whew. Yeah. It's definitely you, JD, because as soon as you muted yourself, it went away. I don't know, the wonders of technology. This is why I always say that my favorite technology is paper and pen. The more high-tech stuff you get, the more crazy, unfixable, weird issues come up into the world. And
is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I fixed it. There we go. All right.
Yeah, bring Lewis back in.
Lewis back. Come on in, Lewis.
Yeah,
all right, we
fixed
it. I didn't realize it. When I switched over to the two other internets, when I had to jump from one internet to another, it defaulted to the microphone up here, which I really don't like. So glad I got my actual working mic here. I probably sound much better too. I'll sing if anybody wants to do it.
No, I'm just
sorry about that. I do apologize. So
it's not a big deal. It happens. I wouldn't even know. Just mute people and see what the issue is. But
yeah, JD, you sound better. I mean, you look about the same, but I mean,
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, so you were talking about what, the Punch comics? Punch,
yeah,
Punch
like
12?
some of the Chesslers. I used to see Chesslers all the time. Now I've seen a lot less recently. I wonder if the Chesler fans have scarfed them all up. But some real specific ones and some rare ones. I just think what books are we seeing that are rare out there that have piqued our interest, that just during this entire time of people selling, we just haven't seen anybody drop that one yet.
Yeah, Chesler's. Look, I'm a big fan of Chesler's, and I love staring at my one and only Chesler that I own. But it does happen to be a dynamic 8, so there's that.
Yeah, it's not
it is probably my favorite of all the Cheslers, so I am happy to have that. But there's 3 types of rarity. I think generally there's people consider 2 types of rarity. There's like an actual rarity where stuff is just not in existence, and then there's condition rarity where it's tough to find things in certain condition, like a 9.8 or a 9.6 of a Silver Age book would have like a condition rarity. Yeah. But then I think there's a third one I never hear anybody talk about. I just come up with it myself, but is apparent rarity. And the two books I use to describe apparent rarity are like, let's say 3 years ago, Mask 1 and 2 and like Black Cat Mystery 50. Those books have apparent rarity. They were in existence. There was plenty of them out there relative to that genre of books, but you would never see them come up. And I think what causes apparent rarity is that the emotional value of the owners of those copies is much higher than what they think the monetary value will get at market if they put it out there. But it takes one or two to get out there and the price to go high enough, like with Black Cat 50 specifically, and the masks also. Once you see one come out to market and it goes really high because nobody's seen one for a while, then the people who own them say, oh, well, maybe I will sell my copy. And you see more copies come onto the market, and that apparent rarity evaporates. And then it is what it is. And you see Black Cat 50s all the time now. You see Mask 1 and 2 all the time now. They're not actually rare. I just pay attention to stuff like that because you got to be careful paying a lot of money for a book that you just don't see. Is it because you don't see it because it has actual rarity or apparent rarity? If you pay a lot for a book with apparent rarity and a bunch more show up, you might go a little underwater on it if you're trying to use it as an investment for a short term or something. And, Chesler's, I think, have actual rarity and even more apparent rarity added onto that because there aren't many copies of these Cheslers out there. But even the copies that are out there, people don't part with. So I think it's doubled up on both of those types of rarity. And, I want like Punch 12, obviously, I haven't seen one. I saw one last year. I think Torpedo Comics had a 0.5 missing the back cover. And I think the year before that, Gene on Short Box got it 4.0 or something. But I haven't seen
Ricky Gator had a 5.0.
Yeah.
He used to have one. A couple of guys had a few.
I think I saw Rick's at in 2018 or 19 at Heroes.
I think we started C2E2.
Heroes Con in Baltimore. I saw it.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times. I mean, he's got a few, I'm sure. But one of those things, like we talk about Punch and Dynamic 11, Dynamic 8, and the
Red Seal 20 is one of my absolute favorites too.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things with Cheslers. When you brought up the new phrase that you should trademark, which is what was it? The cool rare cup, cool rare.
Oh, I don't know. I was talking to Lewis earlier, like the cool rare ratio.
Yeah, the cool rare ratio.
Cheslers have it in spades. Yeah.
Yeah, Cheslers have it. I mean, MLJ's got it.
Ace Publications. Airboys mentioned Super Mystery Comics. Ace Publications have it too. Super Mystery specifically.
Well, yeah, Super Mystery is a good one up there. I mean, there's a few up there.
I think there's certain. This is just my viewpoint. Is to like kind of to what DS was saying is that I tend to think that there are books that get traded around that people like fine, but they trade them around between dealers and they move, right? Then the super cool ones are the ones that are also truly kind of have some rarity to them. Collectors, once they buy them, they get locked away and they just don't come out, right? I mean, if that makes any sense. I guess what I'm saying is I think there are books out there that people just hold on to. Then there are books out there that, but this, in my opinion, they kind of circle around because the perception of them is, hey, I'm supposed to want this book because it's a key book, even though personally, you might see it, you're like, well, I've seen that book, it's okay, but because I'm supposed to like it, I'll buy it, but then I don't have any emotional attachment to it, so I'll sell it. Versus one that's truly rare and super cool, you snag it and you lock it away, and it doesn't come
out.
I
struggle with that because, for instance, Mask 1 and Mask 2, I love those books, and for a while they were super hard to find, and then all of a sudden they're all over the place. And yeah, I really want them, but then I see the prices like a Mask 2 and a 4.0 going for $14,000, and that price doesn't sit right with me subjectively. Like for my own personal collecting style, it's not a $14,000 book to me, and I don't want to pay that just because that's the going rate, and that's what the market is saying it is, and because I sort of go with my gut on books like that, and maybe I will never get it. Maybe it'll just keep going up, and I'll just never get one. But books like that, you got to be careful too, because I feel like at least 50% of those sales are people who are buy high, sell higher type guys in the golden age market. And I know specifically there was a mask too in a 3.0 that was going around, and it went around to 4 or 5 different people, and each one bought it with the intention of reselling it at a higher price. And it was like musical chairs, and whoever's left standing when the music stops without a chair is stuck holding a book that they paid a lot for. And I don't know. Sometimes prices don't sit well with me, and I struggle with it because I want the book, but I don't think it's worth that much, and I don't want to just pay it because I'm supposed to pay for that book, or I'm supposed to want 14K into a 4.0 Mac too. I struggle with that. It's tough with some books.
Mhm.
To your point, you're that 14K, like, okay, right? So let's, I don't know, play the hypotheticals. You have a 14K for that book. I'm guessing even if you thought you could resell it, I mean, you wouldn't keep the book, right? I mean, it's a 14K. That would be an investment piece. It's not. It wouldn't be a personal collection book for you, right?
For me, I mean, if it's kind of weird because my personal collection is just books I haven't sold yet.
Okay.
And some are tougher to part with than others. But I try to think, do I have books that I just would refuse to part with? And whenever I say that, somebody makes an offer on a book I have and I sell it. So I think at the right price, I'll sell anything. Some I just value much higher than what I might be able to get right now on the market, but they're all investments to me. I just love the art form, so I invest in comics, and I'll move books in and out, and I don't get emotionally attached to one so much that I can't move it because I can get something else just as good afterwards. So I kind of am able to push things in and out and keep the collection fresh. So I don't know. My PC is just books I haven't sold yet, and some are harder to sell than others, but all of them in the long run, I plan on selling at some point.
Right.
One of the things that brought this about with me was, I think we're at the 6-month point where we saw that 0.5 missing back cover, great presenting Fantastic 3.
Yeah.
I was expecting to see 2 to 4 more being offered out there, and I haven't seen a single one.
Well, there was one that sold privately. I don't think a lot of those will come out. Well, I saw. All right, so last year there was a 1.0 on Comic Link Exchange, which sold within a few days, and that was 13,000, I think, for that book, and it was completely split, and the whole book was split, and it was brittle.
But it was complete.
Brittle detached papers.
But complete.
And then that one we just saw, that 0.5 missing the back cover, looked great, other than the back cover being missing. And then I know one just changed hands privately very recently. I don't know. It's hard to tell how many are out there other than just look on the census, because people don't give that up because it's like sort of the Action 1 of Dark GA sort of. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would expect to see more after that 0.5 sale come to market.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe we're waiting for the next big. Maybe we'll see a 3.0 come out there and break that 25,000 mark or something, which would be hysterical because I remember. I mean, I've seen 2 or 3 in person in the last 10 years, and none of them were at that price. Not even close. None of them were high. I mean, there were 2.5. There was a 2. I think it was a 2 or a 2.5 and a 3. And I think the 3 was a long time. It was 2 because before I was ever on this thing on YouTube, it was way back. And I was talking to the guy about Lou Fine, and he brought up some Jungle comics and stuff like that he did, and then that was part of the rabbit hole. Well, things that I'm trying to find is some of the adventure comics not featuring superheroes. And I mean, like some of the early ones, obviously Adventure 34. It's been 5 years this week since I lost out on that book. And I know a guy who said that they sold one, and I can't find out where. But that's always been my grail. And then there's
not that you're counting. I mean, not that you're counting. I mean,
see, to me, I absolutely love pre-hero DC, like the adventure comics. It's some of my favorite works. It really is. I mean, I just think it's cool. It adds the pulp factor to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it does.
It has that part of it with it. And, you know, since I've been blessed recently with all these pulps and going through each one of them, getting my hands to touch each one of them, makes me miss those those adventure comics even more, you know?
Yeah,
The early detective comics too, before Batman or whatever.
Yeah.
Some of those
That early detective. There's one with the guy with just his hand getting grabbed by a cop. It's all it is, and it's so simple, but it works so well. I think it's
well, and that's why I say like the golden age non-superhero, just cover-oriented stuff like the pre-Batman text, the early adventures, the dark GA stuff. That category, that market sort of operates as a sort of like a fine art market. It doesn't operate on the same sort of principles as, you know, Silver Age Marvel books or even Golden Age DC hero books. There's different things that play with that market, and the feel of those early adventures, it has a very specific feel to that artwork. It's very unique, and it's not anywhere else. And so
that's part of it.
almost
Fred
like
Gardner and
art as opposed to just comic books. The same with the pre-Batman text. They're really like old school crime noir posters almost.
They are.
Yeah.
It's a totally different market now. They go up in value just like Silver Age Marvel goes up in value, but it's totally different principles at play. I don't know. It's interesting to see the interplay of collectors between the different genres, but I really dig those categories. Yeah, they're tough. They're just all they are is a cover, and they're really tough to find, and they go for thousands and thousands of dollars. They're really solid pieces of art. I love them.
So, so I have a question I'm thinking of, right?
Okay.
So we're talking. Oh, lost the S again.
Okay. No, he just goes now.
Oh, sorry. So clearly, the market's up, rising. You know, the whole rising tides lifts all boats thing. So what we haven't focused on is the elephant in the room, the key of keys, the highest of highs, the most important book of all. What would it sell? So allegedly, what is it? The Mile High has a 9.4.
You mean Action 1?
Yeah. Right now, if the highest rated Action 1, which is it not a 9.4? Allegedly, a 9.0.
Well, the 9.4 is
Is it Mile High original have one that could grade out to something like that?
Yeah, it could. Its potential grade is that.
Okay.
Correct.
So let's say it's a 9.2, 9.4. Let's just spitball. What today does that book possibly hit? I mean, so if we have, can that book hit 5 million? Could it hit 6 million?
I think 5 for sure. Yeah. I mean, you had the Batman 1 and a 9.4. So essentially same grade, but an Action 1 versus a Batman 1 is
much rare.
No
Can't
contest.
compare.
They're not even, they're barely, I mean, they're sort of comparable, but I mean,
could it hit 7?
3 million.
Well, what did the one sell for the private sale with Vince sold?
The Action 185?
Yeah, he sold that for allegedly or apparently 3.25 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an 8.5. There's a 9.0 out there, Complete Blue Pages, which we know already sold for $3 million 2 years ago.
Right.
There is the 9.4 potential, or whatever the Hidden Mile High one is. You know, the one that the ghost right there. I mean, is it a $5 to $7 million book? Comparably, if it were to go today with the amount of investors that are into this stuff, I can't see it not breaking 5 and just walking itself up the ladder from there.
I wouldn't. I mean, I'm gonna talk crazy, but I'm not shocked if it gets close to 10, 8, 9, because you're talking the key of keys, the highest graded of the keys in a market like today. I mean, I got a market where we've got, like what is it?
You're comparing an Action 1 to a Van Gogh at this point. I mean,
look at all the money coming into the market and look at some of the prices that things are going for. So this is the book of the entire industry in a way, like it or hate it, but it is. It's the most iconic. It is the highest graded. So it is the key of all keys and the highest graded. So I argue that, I mean, it very well could touch, darn near close to $10 million, maybe 8, 9, I don't know. But it was just
it's the most famous. It's the most famous start of the superhero, the cape wearer.
it's the most. I
It's
mean,
the cape wearer. I mean, it was.
there isn't a book that's higher that's going to have a higher value than that one. And so I was just curious, like,
Yeah,
well,
I mean, it's
all these prices going up of all these books.
like I said to start the show. I mean, I've got to go after. I've got a guy who's giving me a dollar amount to go find him an Action 1, and it's a pretty effing aggressive price for a 1.0 in that book. And I'm like, I reached out, and I've got one guy I know who has, but I can't see him selling it just because he doesn't. But with the money, he could probably buy a lot of other things.
Yeah,
very aggressive price for that Action 1 that a guy asked me to go look for him.
What's an entry level like? What is a 0.5 or 1.0 entry level? Is it 100? Is it any entry level? 100?
Way higher than that.
Oh, it's higher.
The entry level, honest to God, if you're not even close, if you find a 0.5, you're gonna put 250 on it and watch it go within minutes.
There was one on eBay. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sparkle City.
Yep.
He takes consignments and he just runs everything on eBay pretty much. I actually visited where my family's from, where I visit when I go back up to visit my family, is right down the road from where he has an address. And he has like an old sort of Walgreens pharmacy he's renting that now. And if you look in the windows, you can see boxes of books. Now he doesn't have Action 1 sitting in there, but it's just this big old sort of pharmacy. Walgreens or a CVS or something. That's his space. It's not open for business, and there's nothing in there. It's like completely empty, and there's just in the middle of this giant room. Imagine a CVS completely empty, and in the middle of it, there's like a whole bunch of long boxes just all stacked up haphazardly, like arranged in the middle of this giant room. And that's the address for Sparkle City. And I went there just to see if I could go in, talk to the guy, look around. Maybe I didn't know what he had. But he had an Action 1 that he put on eBay, and it was a 0.5 incomplete, but it had the front cover and most of the wraps, but it was missing maybe a couple wraps in the back cover or something. It was a beater, but it was there. And it sold on eBay for like $140,000 or something. And this was almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm thinking $250,000 is the 0.5 start. The 1.0, I'm going to say right now, $400,000 is not asking too much right now for a 1.0 in there. There aren't that many to begin with, so let's not beat around the bush saying we're comparing it to anything else. It's Action 1. It is the creme de la creme, and we know this, that when I get people asking, when people come in and ask me about a Tech 31 of what they can pay for one, or can I find one for them, or I can work with them on one, or the same thing with the Wiz 2. As I always joke with them, says, well, why don't you just ask for an Action 1 while you're at it? And a guy I talked about a different book, he goes, well, yeah, how about this for this? And I'm like, that might be doable. But I will say that if you want to break the lowest $1 million grade in an Action 1 currently, $1 million grade is probably in the VG range. And I'm not saying 3.0, 3.5, 4.0. I'm saying in the VG range, one of those books is probably $1 million book waiting to happen. Because I think there is there's a few of them.
Yeah,
but,
the census on Action 1 is interesting if you look at it. There's really not that many below. There are no 2.0s on the census, but
right.
There are 7 copies below 2.0.
Right.
And then from 2.5 to 5.5, there's 3, 8, 2, 5, 3, 2, 3. So there's a smattering of them. And then once you get to 6.0, it tails off. There's a 6.0, 2 6.5s, 1 7.5, 1 8.0, 1 8.5, and 2 9.0s.
Right.
So really, if it weren't an Action 1 and you're just wanting to see where's the census drop on this book, it would be at a 6.0 would be after the census drop. You'd have all the copies at 5.5, and when you hit 6.0, you get into many fewer copies. So the census drop on an Action 1, if you could even call it that for an Action 1, is like 6.0. So yeah, I think a 6.0 or a 6.5 could be $1 million book right now. A 7.5 surely would be. There's only 4 higher graded than a 7.5. If you had a 7.5, there's only 4 higher grade copies currently.
Right.
That's easily our book, I think.
I can't see $1 million for a VG, but I could certainly see a fine easily hitting $1 million. It's what point is it $1 million book? Is it now? You said there is a 5.5 and a 5.0, right?
There's 3 5.5s and 2 5.0s.
Right. Because of that number, I'm conservatively saying $800,000 for any one of those would probably be easily attainable. But it wouldn't surprise me if one of them hit $1 million.
Yeah, and this book, I get it's an Action 1, obviously, but there's 41 universals on the census. There's 30 restored on the census. There's 1 qualified. So there's 72 total slab copies out there, and you never see them come up for sale. It's kind of weird. I know it's because it's an Action 1, and it's not like people are just going to flip it. But
Shaq has his, right?
Census can never see it. It's kind of weird, I think.
Again, that's what I was saying earlier. I just think there are books that, by and large, they go into collectors' hands, and the people who have them, quite honestly, they don't really need. I mean, I'm sure money's money, but for the by and large, they don't care. They're not going to get rid of it.
I bet private sales as a percentage of total sales. Yeah, it's probably much higher on that book than probably most anything else.
Yeah.
I bet you a lot of the Action 1 owners know the other Action 1 owners.
And one of them is Shaquille O'Neal. One is Shaquille O'Neal. One is Nick Cage. One is Wayne Gretzky.
Did Nicolas Cage get stolen? Then it was found, and then he
never lost his. He never lost his action.
Well, he had his books. His house was broken into, and his comics were stolen twice, and it was because of that people breaking into his house twice put his family at risk, that he decided it would be better off to sell off his comic collection. And that's why all these Nicolas Cage copies are on the market, because he moved them to stop people from breaking into his house to get them, because it put his family at risk. That's the story I heard. Now, I'm sure he can sell everything. He probably has Action 1.
He has his Action 1, yeah.
But he had books at home, and those are and he wasn't like some grade snob where he needed the highest graded copy of everything. Not that that's not a derogatory term. I mean, there's people who want highest graded copies of everything, and I get it. But Nicolas Cage didn't care. I mean, he had mid-grade copies of PCH.
Oh, yeah.
And
I have a Nick Cage book somewhere. I have a jumbo, a Nick Cage jumbo with the really good girl art. It just says the Nicolas Cage collection. It's not a pedigree. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a Nicolas Cage PCH book. There have been quite a few that have come up, and I just feel like the premium, because it's a Nicolas Cage copy, has been higher than what that book would normally sell for by a good bit, like 20%. And I don't want to pay extra just to say Nick Cage owned this book.
Right.
But it would be cool. It would be cool. I'm kind of, I don't pay extra for signatures. I don't pay extra for it can be pressed up. I don't pay extra for a collection or a pedigree. I probably miss out on a lot of good investments and a lot of cool books that would be very sought after and coveted because of that. But I just want the books, and I don't give a crap about any of this other peripheral shit about it, like signatures. I like centering. I like presentable copies. I like and I don't really care about anything else. I don't want to ever have books signed. I'm not even interested in meeting. Going to cons and meeting these artists, and, that doesn't do it for me. I like the history of comics, and then I like the comics, and that's it.
Nice.
Yep. So
and comic books, an estimate of how many raw copies. I've heard that the total number of copies in existence is less than 100 or right around.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
There's 72 graded copies. There's probably at least 20 raws out there. I would bet there's not many more than 100 though, but that's the number that gets thrown around.
Actually, DS, I meant to ask you this. I didn't want to bring it on the air, but have you ever seen that Magic Comics with the robot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I have. Yeah, I think I've seen that too as well. Yeah.
I thought you
Yeah.
would always want that one.
What's that? The magician's name? He's like firing.
Blackstone.
Yeah, isn't he like zapping it with
It's
something?
Mandrake. It's Mandrake. Yeah.
Over. It's got like a Brick Bradford robot pose. It's like leaning over.
Exactly. The guy's just like this.
Yeah.
Bro, it looks like the Iron Giant because he's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah. I forget where I ran into that somewhere. Somebody discussing it with me. So it's a good
And
book.
somebody else mentioned them. I wanted to. I've just remembered this. That Marvel Mystery 4.
Yeah.
With the brittle picture. I know the guy who bought that.
Wow.
And I wish Rich was here to talk about it, but I know that's a rare book and it's a big book for a timely. And I don't know. I mean, that price surprised me. It was a 21,000 or something, but I know that's a very, very high on the list. Timely, and timely books have been like anything else, red hot too. So it surprised me, but I know the guy who bought it, and he's pretty astute. And I don't feel like he's throwing money around willy nilly. So that makes me think it's, he really wanted it, but other people did too because he wasn't bidding against himself. You know what I mean? So
Right, and it's a tough book to find. I mean, those early Marvel mystery books, we joke about it, but even our own brethren here, Knights of Old, it took us, I don't know, 8 cons between us, 3 years to find one for him.
yeah.
We all went to every con looking, and that's up to. Well, let's be honest. You'll want an R Flag 5, Lewis. That's exactly. We're only on year 2 for you. Maybe you got to wait a little while, but you'll get it one day.
Well, yeah, I've hunted that book even longer than that. It's one of those that you just, don't see.
Well, as far as like on the books on my radar, like the stuff I like, the rarest books would be R Flag 5 and probably This Magazine is Haunted number 3.
I was gonna say they better put that one up there. Yeah,
those are super rare books. And then, I mean, aside from that, I feel like a Dynamic 8 is pretty rare, but not at that level, but it's close. But I have one of those. I got lucky and found one of those. And I don't know if there's Movie Comics 6, the robot cover. That one was pretty tough, and it freaking was cheap when that one came up to auction. It was like a 7.5 or something. That was on auction a couple months ago, and I just was not bidding enough, and I
can't be as rare as this, buddy.
Oh, that one's, I've never even seen that before. Yeah.
No, it's a
there's quite a few rare books, but they still come up from time to time. I mean, me and Lewis talked about that R Flag, and you get chances at them. But those chances don't come up often, and you really got to think hard before passing up on something like that. Like the Mask, whatever. I mean, I've been passing up on Mask 2 for years, and I still plan to get one, but I'm just gonna wait. I really think I can get the right copy at the right price, and I'm gonna hold out and try. I'm not giving in to the market on that book yet.
Yeah, we talked to the one gentleman, I think DS and I both know through the community and through Instagram, that has had 2 5s, which is crazy. Good guy, fun to talk to. I just missed out. He's got one that he's keeping, which I don't blame him, and I think the other one that he had recently sold. That's as close as I came. So, I feel like I was at the party when all the beer cans and the pizza boxes were everywhere, and I just missed the good time. But it's all there. But so what we'll learn with the Action 1 is maybe I could just live in my car with an Action 1 that I don't have to worry about. Anybody breaking into my house because I'm living out of my car down by the river with my Action 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also try to keep my collection like under 100 books. So I don't really have that many books. I mean, everything's fully insured, but I don't have a massively growing collection that has more and more books all the time. I sell books when I get close to 100 to keep my total amount of books at 100 or less.
Yeah.
There's not really that many books, but they're all, for me, Grail level books. So when I flip through the boxes of slabs, which I only have a few boxes, every single book for me is like Grail level, and that is super satisfying. It's very manageable. It's easy on my OCD mind because there's not much to deal with. Doesn't take up much space, and every single book is Grail level for me. And I really like that. And it also makes it easy to sell books, to get new, like it's a very easy collection to manage. And I can sell one book and make a good amount of money. I can buy a big book and it doesn't take up much more space. So other than that, I mean, I've got like flip books all over the table here, but that's just like stuff to sell. And then
Right.
First Rogue over there.
that I just have like 100 like PC type books that are like don't take up much space.
Mm.
So here's a question for us all. Hopefully, is that what do we think about some cons this year? Do we think what's going to take place? I don't know. I know I said this a few times.
Next on my list to hopefully get to is Indianapolis.
Yep. Took a look at that. Looks good.
Looks good. Looks like a good crew. I'd love to, take a ride over there.
Yeah, I've never been to Indianapolis actually, but yeah, I was thinking that and the reason I ask is I'm curious. I know there's so many sales going on through claim sales, online auctions, and all this, but I'm just kind of wondering what's going to take place when some of these bigger cons come out. Because the reason I say this, and hear me out, and maybe I'm crazy, and I am, but hear me out. There is sometimes like a psychological deal that if you have a book in your hand and you're looking at it, you will often, I think, spend more than you will when you're looking at something not in person.
I agree with you.
Because you get caught up, and rightfully so, you've got all the other people circling around looking at the same book. So the reason I was just curious is like what's going to happen to some prices at some cons. We're probably going to be sticker shocked when we go to the next con and see some of the books on the walls a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Cons, the thing about cons though, there's sort of a little bit of a ceiling of where dealers can price some books.
Some.
On a claim sale, that might be the only claim sale this night. There might not be a good copy on eBay, or somebody might not want to deal with eBay. Or there might be, maybe a comic link auction coming up in 2 weeks that has what you're looking for, but it's on that claim sale now. At a con, if you're looking for like, say, AF-15 in like a lower grade, you can shop around, man. You can't price that book too high because it just won't sell, because there's a lot of other copies right there in the same room with you. So that instant present competition for a lot of books is going to keep prices sort of realistic. I don't think they'll be, way over the top, but there's a little bit of a con premium, of course. But I mean, I feel like that con experience premium that you pay for a book, I got to think that's evaporated in the conditions of the current market anyway. I mean, what are you going to print? You're going to have a GSX at a 9.0. What's the con premium on that? I mean, that book's sky high already. I mean, I feel like it is what it is now. The premium at a con is sort of an irrelevant factor right now.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm just kind of curious, just sort of what the con world's going to be.
I think
like.
if it's a rarer book, I'd be that, because when I go to cons, I usually don't pick up too common books. Nowadays it's just getting, it's just too easy to get books when, you just wait and it'll show up around you. But then when you have a book like, a rare one at a con, back wall that you've never seen, that you've been hunting for, you're going to pay a premium for it. And I think you should. If it's bird in hand is two in the bush, and if you're not competing with somebody, you can't go to a con and say, well, there's one coming up on Heritage next week, or no one coming up on Clank or whoever, and I might give my shot at that. Well, if you're like that, then you're going to be like me, waiting 5 years for one of your grails.
Well, I mean, I only go to 2 cons a year, and I've only been going to them for 3 years, so I don't have a lot of con experience. But I feel like at this point I have a good enough experience buying books in a variety of arenas. And I buy some big books, nothing massive, but I do buy some big books. At a con, usually I try to find a rare book, something that you don't see every day. And, it's usually a Golden Age book, obviously. And I don't mind paying a full sort of heavy price on a rare, cool Golden Age book at a con because I feel like it's worth it just for the book anyway. But you get a relationship with the dealer and there's an experience attached to it, and it's worth it for those books anyway. So I usually try to find one really cool, rare sort of Grail Golden Age book for myself at a con, and I'll give myself a little extra leeway on what I pay at cons, and I think most people do that too. The experience, you're willing to pay a little more when there's the experience of the con around you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like interacting with. I mean, there's some dealers that you do and some dealers that you don't, but you find you like interacting, talking about. You kind of develop a little bit of a rapport, and but yeah. So I was just kind of thinking at the end of the year here is middle to back end of the year, sort of what cons would be out there, and kind of curious to see what. I was kind of curious if people all of a sudden come back or if it's.
Well, I'm ready to go back. I'll tell you, I only go to Heroes Con in Baltimore each year. That's it. And
Heroes Con got canceled.
Heroes Con got canceled again, which surprises me because things are starting to open up, and they're in a sort of more conservative state where they're more open than they're not California or New York. You know what I mean? And it's in North Carolina, and so I feel like they would have been open at least by now, and they're pushing it for the second year in a row, which is really surprising. So my only hope for this year is Baltimore, and that's in the fall, usually like October. So if that doesn't go, I won't have any cons this year. I'm not a big con person. I don't like traveling around to cons, but I like to go to a couple that are like Baltimore and Heroes Con are both close enough to me that I can drive to pretty quick.
Nice.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough.
And then both of those cons, coincidentally, are really comic-oriented cons too. They have a lot of Golden Age, a lot of the big, very centered on books. It's not a cosplay con. It's not like a Hollywood merch con. It's comics centered. Both of those.
Exactly.
Yep. I would agree.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, but hopefully this end of this year has some stuff out there. It'd be good to see. And plus too, I know it's kind of sad. You were talking about talking to artists. I'm kind of like there are some artists that I like to talk to and see, and and unfortunately in the Golden Age, there's really hardly anybody remaining that's out there. And
well, 2 years ago at Heroes Con, Hy Fleischman was there signing.
Yeah.
And
cool.
I was actually trying to buy a Weird Mysteries 19 to get signed by him. I thought it would be a good investment because how many books in the Golden Age at all are signed?
Not many at all.
Yeah, and I didn't have a Dark Mysteries 19. But a couple people did, and they got Hy to sign those copies. And I thought that was cool. I would have done it. I thought it would have been a cool piece to offer up for sale at some point. But yeah, other than that, I think Alan Bellman was at a con.
Alan Bellman used to do Denver Con every year. He did he did Denver Con every year from when I moved out here about 12 years ago. So for a good 7-8 years in a row, he did it.
Yeah, he was really he was I think he was a neat guy. He'd always sit there and tell stories. He was very personable, and he was
loved cosplayers.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He was just fun to kind of listen to because there's just not people of that era are talking working in those bullpens and the timely crew. There's just none of them around anymore. So
working there at 16.
yeah. He was the youngin.
16 years old.
Yeah. And so. But I was gonna say but all in all, I think I was gonna say been kind of collecting and buying books since a kid, and I certainly think that the hobby and the market is as healthy as it's ever been, as far as I can.
Yeah. It's a good time. It's a good time to sell. A good time to invest if you're interested in that too. I mean, it is just what I always say is just. Do what you want. That's rule one. Do what you feel and like you enjoy doing. If you don't want to sell a book, don't. If you do, and you can put the money towards something that you need or something that you want in another book, make your choice, live with it, move on.
Yeah, I think some people should realize, and maybe they do, and they just don't want to do it. But if I think the trouble with a lot of people with selling is they are emotionally attached to the book and they love the book and they don't want to part with it. And I get that. If you part with a book you love and make profit, you can buy more books you love that you wouldn't otherwise have. So for me, no matter what I have at any given time, it's all books that I love. It's just different from time to time what those books are. Why not make a little money on top, and you'll always still have books you love, and you'll have some extra money too. That's how I feel about it.
Good call.
Yeah,
Great way
yeah,
to do it.
I'm certainly guilty with that. I kid you not that I have books and I bought like pre-code stuff back in my 20s, teens. I still have them. I think I've got the only books I've ever really sold are like just a couple, and then like my son had some modern stuff that he just asked me to sell, but I mean that's my own personal crux. I kind of tend to.
Well, yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, for me, I make $500 a week at my day job, and I've had the same day job since I got back in the hobby. It's nothing glamorous. It's just a job I work hard at and hustle and make $500 a week. But that's not enough money to buy the books I want. At a certain point, I realized I can't do what I want in this hobby by saving for my day job because most of it goes to bills anyway. So I had to sort of get creative. And so all these books you see me pick up, that Zip, that Strange Tales 110 and 70, all of that came from money that I generated inside of the hobby in this little room I'm sitting in with other books. None of that comes from my day job. So
yeah, that's pretty impressive, actually. Though I don't know.
I mean, I feel like I've made some progress, and I have books that are above my pay grade, so to speak. Yeah, so there's in a market like this accelerates how quickly you can move books and move up the ladder as far as getting stuff you like. And it takes a little bit of risk and a little bit of hustle, and you can do it. And I'm not some superstar hustler in the hobby, but I do my thing and I crank along, and I have quite a few books that I wouldn't otherwise have. But it's self-supporting at this point. So a market like this is great because it accelerates the whole process. Everything can just move quicker and easier because there's so much liquidity and so much money and books moving around. So I love it.
Awesome.
JD, I think he should have been like a securities trader, right? I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, I actually joke with him. I'm like, I was a trader for years, and part of the rule 1 is marry nothing, and you marry nothing, you pick and choose your times when you have to do it, and all you have to be right is 55% of the time, and you're better than that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that I feel like
there's a lot of similarities.
Making money on investing in comic books right now than I do in the stock market. Like I freaking killed in the stock market today. I didn't kill the market today. You know what I mean? Like I feel more comfortable making bigger percentages and ROIs on comics than I can at stocks these days. And if I can get like a 7 to 10% return in stock market on something over a year, man, I'm ecstatic. That's awesome. If I get 10% on a comic book in a year, that's like, why did I waste my time with it? You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's different.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, no, it's gonna say, yeah. I don't know. So, I always like to throw the questions out there, throw them on the wall, see if they stick, slide down like the old toy used to get out of the cereal box. Remember those?
Yeah.
Wall crawler?
Yeah, you would stick on the wall, and then it would ooze, and then it was good for about 20 minutes till it picked up lint and fuzz, and then it was worthless.
Yep.
But anyway, so here's a question. All right, so if for 2021 in our golden age market, far out traction ones and all that, what sneaky little key, what sneaky book, what sneaky run do you think we might see some form of a movement on? Like, what's something that I don't know that you could say too much any of them are under the radar, but what might be a run, a book, a publisher that just might catch fire?
Any of the World War II Marvel books that feature Submariner and Human Torch.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think the Atom Age, Torch, and Submariner and Cat
That's a
book.
good one too. The Bill Everett stuff, right?
Yeah, the Bill Everett, the Atlas version.
The Atlas, good call.
In between Timely and Marvel, that group, I've seen spikes of those books. And I also think the Atom Age War book have a lot of room to grow still. They got really hot at the beginning of last year, and they went through sort of a growing pains throughout the year. Some have risen to the top, and others have sort of come down. But I've been seeing, there's pops in that market. There's a lot of sparks going on. I think Atom Age War, and I think those Atlas hero, the Torch, Submariner, and Cat books, the Atlas ones, really good books, man. They're tough to find too.
They are. The Atlas Submariners, some of the best cover-to-cover artwork. I compare, when you get Gil Kane involved in some of that stuff too. The value of books, if you looked at the art, who was judged more on art, they would be worth more than some of the. I mean, I'm not saying the Schoenberg covers. Obviously, I'm saying no offense to Carl Burgess or anything, but yeah. And I was thinking also, would it be? I mean, has Wiz had its run? I don't think so. I mean, you're right, DS. Every time we bring up, like, Shazam should have skyrocketed, but because it's DC, it didn't.
Yeah, but the
only the Wiz books.
About the Wiz, the Captain Marvels, the whole Marvel family.
Right.
That stuff's got a lot of fans, and I see claim sales on IG with dealers putting up these books, and yeah, they're not pricey, but they all sell like instantly. So that's
Any Uncle Dudley's books good
out there. And
I kind of agree with what you had to say earlier. I was actually thinking the same thing. I think you and I, yes, sometimes right together. And I think like the more fun comics, if you really take a look at those, there are
like the more fun stuff with like the Spectre and
all of that.
Well, yeah, didn't 54 just set a record not that long ago?
Might have. Yeah. I think those runs. Now, so many of them contain, like the Spectre on the cover, but what's the number 73 that has like Aquaman as the first appearance and
right. Green Arrow.
So I mean, I think that run is one that certainly to me has potential.
Even Alan Scott Green Lanterns.
Yeah, it's probably.
They're cheap.
Some of the early Green Lanterns are actually I think really neat. They're like a lot of times the covers are darker.
I was gonna say it's borderline dark GA with a hero.
Yeah, they are, but it's darker material and the inking is dark. Like the covers are
usually black covers with a circle in them.
But it sounds like once again Westerns. It's not the year of the Westerns.
It's not the year of the Western.
Yeah, it's gonna.
No, but I have been noticing a little more interest in I don't even know what category this would be but sort of like Platinum Age, super early Golden Age, like Tarzan, Tip Top, Famous Funnies.
Oh yeah. Oh,
new comics, some of the antique titles.
The original Fun comics, haha. Yeah.
Some of the old 1937, 38, 39, even 1940, like a Tarzan. There's a Tarzan. What is it? The single series 20.
Yep.
That book sells good these days. I know that used to be a massive book, and then it just disappeared into nowhere, and nobody gave a crap about it for a long time. And it's come back, and I think early Tarzan stuff, early Famous Funnies, Tip Tops. I think that stuff is it's really antique and really cool and very scarce and very foundational to comics. I think that stuff's got a lot of room, and I notice more people going after that stuff, the real early stuff.
Good. So here's an early one. That's not maybe quite as early, but it's pretty early. I think it's on Heritage. Maybe we should take a guess. I don't want to move the market or get people excited. But there is a Jumbo Comics set. I think it's out on Heritage, and they do have the Jumbo one.
Mhm.
So I was gonna say something to kind of keep an eye on.
I do think if you want just a great book, Sheena, Jack Kirby. I mean, so many great things. The Jumbo one's there. I mean, the Jumbo one's who's who. But yeah, I mean, it's Lulu Fine, Will Eisner, Jack Kirby, all in the same book.
As it, and I believe it's Kirby's first
work. It's his first professional work.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the early Fiction House stuff.
Yeah, even like Planet One, I expect to go even higher where it is now.
Well, I'll tell you, I hope so. I've got a Planet One and a 5.5. Yeah, I freaking love that book. That's probably, I mean, that's one of my favorite books in my collection. But a 3.5 just sold a couple months ago for $7,800.
Ooh.
That's more than I paid.
We went over that one. Yeah, we said if that thing breaks 6,000, we were joking about it. I think on the show we said 6,000. I'm like 6,000 is possible, but then it hit 7,800. We're like,
yeah, I mean that's more than I paid for my 5.5, and I bought my 5.5 maybe like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, not that long ago.
You got it from Gene, right?
5.5. If I were to sell my 5.5 today, I would list it at 10 or best offer probably.
Nice.
And so yeah, I think that's. But for sci-fi, that's how I'm going for it. It's the #1 sci-fi book from the Golden Age. It's top of the list, I think. It's also a Lou Fine cover. It's also a 1939 newsstand, 1940. It's also the #1 issue of arguably the best Golden Age sci-fi title. It's just got so many cool things about it, and yeah, it's a tough book to find. And when I bought that 5.5, I felt like I got a deal on it for what it was. And sometimes I get books, and I do get them for what I want to pay, and I'm real happy. And that was one of them. I was stoked I got that for what it did, and I think it's turning out to be a good investment.
Yeah, just to show you on that book, is I agree. That's as far as science fiction, Golden Age. That's the series and that one. A couple years ago, I was like in this like antique stuff with my wife, and you know how sometimes people do reprints on like 10 signs, like they'll make like a stop signs. Anyways, they had a reprint of the cover of that at an antique store. It was just a reprint of the cover on this like 10 sign, just meant to be sold. So to me, that tells you all you needed to know about the cover in that particular comic. When some random antique shop had a reproduction cover on a sin sign.
Yeah. And this one had, which doesn't bother me, especially for what the book is, it looks like it had color touch at one point that was taken off. You can see it was sort of looked like it was scraped off.
Oh, yeah, probably so.
And that doesn't bother me because this is the wear it had before anyway. And is it ideal? No. But, I mean, it's a 5.5 Planet One. I mean, it's ideal for me. I mean, this is better than I would have ever hoped to have for a book like this anyway.
It's probably that's probably JD's grade. I mean, I think isn't that what you would get?
I would absolutely get that.
He would
absolutely get 5.5.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the Sammy Hagar. I lead the league in 5.5.
Here, hold on. Okay, I got a spot right behind me. Empty spot for it.
Yeah, I'll rent it to you. You'd be like the museum, and I'll rent it to you.
That's all right. Okay.
Yeah, right now I have my sci-fi. I put 4 books up on the wall on my sort of bookcase. Right now it's sci-fi themed. So what I have up is Planet One, Startling 49.
Great.
This one people think is not sci-fi, but for me it fits. Is my Hit 5.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
I always thought Mystery Men was kind of sci-fi too.
Yeah, the Hit 5, and then the other one I have, which is sci-fi. I have my Silver Surfer 4 and a 9.2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sci-fi scene. It's the guys in space.
Yes,
I know it's a superhero book, but it's not a Golden Age. But yeah, that Hit 5. That was another one I got, which I felt like I got a good price on. I know Lewis was watching it too. My max bid was a good bit higher than what I got it for on eBay auction, and yeah, I mean sometimes it works out. I think that book is really, really tough. Not everybody knows what it is. Not trying to rub it in, Lewis. I know you're a bit.
Rub it in.
It's all good. It's all good.
But some people in the chat may not be familiar with the Hit 5.
Yep.
Yeah, let me show on the big screen the shark book. Hang on. I'll add Lewis back. Sorry. Here comes the shark.
Yeah, so black cover and really not a lot of wear. It looks like it had staples added, which were then removed, but the original staples are still there. It's got a little chunk off the corner here, which hurts the grade, but I mean, you can't even really tell. But I mean, a 4.5 off-white to white black cover, and it's got the red date stamp too, September 1940. Red date stamp inside the red title. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough book. It's a Lou Fine, and I mean, you can see by the yellows and reds there, this book has been preserved well. So yeah, a really nice copy of this. I thought I got a pretty good deal on this.
It's a great book. Yeah,
and then when I sent it to CBCS for reholders, in a new case now.
Yeah, that's a good new case too. Shout out to CBCS. I know they're busy right now,
but it's all scuffed up, man. This case sucks. It's all.
Oh, really?
The entire front of it's got scuff marks on it. It's kind of annoying. Not a huge deal, but it's just annoying. You send a book like this in, and they put it in a beat up new holder.
You know, some of that hit run is going to say you do see some hit books come up, and I bid on. I didn't see that one come up, but there's a hit. I'm trying to remember what the number is. I bid on it, lost out. It has a skull. It's like a pinkish reddish back, and it has just like the skull. Like want it? If you familiar with that one?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what number it is, but there was one recently in a heritage auction, a lower grade one that came up.
Yeah. So I kind of, but there are some of those hit books are kind of decent, but yeah, you got me on that one.
It's a quality title. The quality is the name of the publisher, and Lou Fine did work for Quality and Fiction House.
Yep.
And Fox. So if you want Lou Fine stuff, those are like the three titles, the three publishers to look at. And I think I only have maybe 2 Lou Fines, and that's it. Planet 1 and Hit 5. Those might be the only 2 Lou Fine books.
But they're a Fox publication one.
I don't have any Fox books, and I have only 2 MLJs and 1 Chesler. So, I mean, I have a lot of good books, but I don't have a lot of good books. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, the good books, I don't have anything, really. I have very few books, but the ones I have, I'm pretty proud of.
Very cool. Well, we're going to wrap it up in a minute here. Anybody have anything they want to promote before I mention next week's show?
No. Oh, no. Nothing.
I've got a couple more books coming in. You want to see a couple more I bought?
Yeah, going on the big screen. Here he comes.
I'll do it at the end of the show to give people a little preview.
Yeah. Coming up next week.
Second highest graded of this, another black cover Golden Age book. That's pretty tough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I own it. It's a great book. GS, it knows that this is one of the hardest to find in a good grade jumbo fiction house in general. It's a late, 53, I think it is?
52.
52, yeah. It's very rare. I mean, that's so immaculate for that thing because, first of all, it's fiction house. Reds fade. It's a black cover, and it's got an elephant on it. Kick ass, and Sheena's on it. Model, and that's a good book.
Yeah, I just got that in the Connect auction. There's 185 higher, and that's it. I bought this recently because this is the best wrapped and centered copy I think I've ever seen. So I actually broke a GPA record when I bought this. I paid more for this than anybody ever has for one in this grade on GPA.
It happens.
Such a beautiful copy, though.
Oh, yeah. 101.
I mean, the centering and the wrap on this are perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
usually there's an overlap on it. So
yeah, it's either overwrapped, and you can see like the space above the banner is equal to the space below the words and the UPC.
That's a CBA right there, my friend. That's a CBA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a beautiful copy, so I had to buy that. I paid up for it, obviously, and then I bought this book.
I have a beautiful one of that. Yeah, great
And
book.
this one's wrapped nice and centered. A lot of times this one's slanted.
That's my favorite Kirby surfer cover.
Yeah, it's got good Kirby dot action on it. It's a classic surfer cover. It's got the watcher in the background, that red. It's just a really classic cover. The prices on this have been going up, and I had a nice copy, but it was like a 7.5, maybe 7.0, and I sold it. And I always wanted to upgrade, and I found this one off white to white, nicely centered, nice high grade, old holder. So yeah, I bought that one. So
Nice,
those
good
are some
stuff.
things I have incoming.
Good, very good. Incoming, I have that book from overseas. It's probably going to be a while. We talked about it's probably going to take about a month plus, but we're okay with that. So again, next week we're going to have a special show. We're going to bring on Rick from Heritage. Very excited to have him on. We're going to learn a little bit about how that works. We're going to talk to him, and stay tuned for a future show with one of the greatest collections you'll ever see of art, Golden Age, pulps, and anything you could possibly imagine. So looking forward to having that guest eventually down the road. But once again, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you all for being a friend. And be safe and have a good night.
See you later.
See you, man. All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.